What's one thing we're not talking about that we should be? Nobody answered right away. She said the silence went on long enough to become uncomfortable. One woman started to speak, then stopped herself, but the leader didn't fill the space. She didn't move to the next agenda. She just waited, which is what she should have done. And eventually, someone did speak, then someone else. And then by the end of the meeting, three things had come to light that had been apparently just sitting there under the surface for months. She told me like it was just simply a small thing, but I didn't think it was. What she was describing wasn't just a facilitation technique, it was a room finding out in real time whether it was actually safe to be honest. And a body doesn't wait for good intention before it answers that question. It reads the tone, the pacing. The nervous system keeps its own quiet scorecard beneath whatever's being said out loud. And it usually knows the answer before the person does. I said for years that leadership is a nervous system event before it's a strategy. But I don't think I really felt it until she told me about that pause. You see, every team you lead is carrying histories you can't see. Some people learned early that authority isn't safe, that speaking up costs more than it's worth, that the ground can shift without warning. And the smart move is to stay quiet and watch the exits. They don't leave that at home. They walk into the meeting with them. So, trauma informed leadership was never going to be something you learn in a single training or hang up on a poster in a break room. It's a handful of habits repeated until they stop becoming technique and start being just how you lead, how you open a meeting, how you deliver hard news, how you handle mistake. You see, 30 years of clinical work have taught me something about how people learn to trust power again after they've been hurt. It only happens through repetition, and only when the pattern holds up on those hard days, not just the calm ones. I started noticing the same thing showing up in boardrooms, staff meetings, and pulpits long before I had the language for it. A leader who says, I don't know yet, instead of faking confidence, is doing something I recognize from the therapy room. So is a leader who protects the one quiet voice that finally spoke up. So it isn't the last time that that voice takes a risk. There's a favorite prayer of mine by Thomas Merton, the prayer of unknowing, that I keep returning to. It's the one where he admits he can't see the road ahead of him and he has no real certainty, even if he's going the right way. He doesn't ever resolve that. He just names it honestly and asks to be led anyway. I don't think I don't know yet is a weakness in a leader. Some days it's the most regulated thing a person in authority can offer a room that's learned not to trust confidence it can't verify. I pulled together 8 habits into a guide of a trauma informed leader, mostly because I keep meeting leaders who already wanted to build them into how they run things, but they just didn't have the words for it. Safety is always first. Then comes radical transparency, sharing power, not just sentiment, making room for the quiet voice, getting curious about the person behind a dip in performance instead of just assuming the worst about them, naming a culture instead of just guessing at it, regulating yourself before you respond, and building all of this into your actual systems, not just your intentions. Because good intentions rarely survive a hard quarter. None of it really costs a lot of money, but all of it is going to take a lot of patience and practice. I don't have a tidy answer for which of the habits matter the most. I think they all do. Safety probably comes out first, obviously, but it just depends on where trust is thinnest on your team right now. I'd like to ask you the question that the leader asked hers. What's one thing your team isn't saying that they should be? Could be what one thing your congregation is saying that they should be. What is one thing your executive board should be saying that they should be? What people at home should be saying that they're not saying that they should. And what would it actually take this week for someone to find out that it is safe to actually say it? I put together all these habits into a full guide for you. They have reflection questions for each of them to help you along the way. And you can use them in a staff meeting or just sitting at home or at your desk with coffee on a quiet morning. You can send a comment or DM me 8 habits, and I'll get sure you get it right away. Thanks so much for being here.